All right, so we are talking in our next round of Cup Keepers, and today we're focusing on learning and mastering comma rules. Now, we know that a comma is a punctuation indicating a pause between words, phrases, clauses, and sentences. Now, a comma's main purpose is to make writing easier and clearer to read. So, while there are a lot of comma rules, there also are some that are just essential. And there are also some places where a comma is optional, meaning depending on your mood or your style or your voice, you can choose to put the comma there. But when placing commas, you want to remember these two comma commandments. One, do not use a comma unless you have a reason to. And then two, use a comma anywhere where not using the comma would cause more confusion for the reader. So let's talk into the 8 essential comma rules. Rule number 1 is items in a series. You always want to use a comma when listing a series of items. This could be a series of words, phrases, or clauses or sentences. So I bought oranges, apples, bananas, comma, and grapes. So I want to talk about the last comma, which is called the Oxford comma. Now, there are people that are pro Oxford comma and there are people that are anti Oxford comma. I am a pro Oxford comma, meaning you always want to put that comma right before the and or the conjunction that you're going to use. So I went to the museum, comma, to the mall, comma, and to the post office after school. Or on Monday, Mary went to see a movie, comma, mom went to visit grandma, comma, and I stayed home. All these are listing a series of items, whether there be words, phrases, or sentences, and we want to make sure we separate those with commas. Comma rule number 2, use a comma between two adjectives. Here, you always want to use a comma between two adjectives in a row that describe the same noun. So, in your mind, when you're trying to figure this out, try placing the word and between two adjectives, and that lets you know if you need the comma. So, for example, Alex's house had a wide rectangular awning. Wide and rectangular are both describing the awning. Therefore, I would put a comma between those two words. The old torn dress was not appropriate to wear. Old and torn are both describing the dress, so a comma would be appropriate. However, in the sentence, Megan wore bright red boots, bright is not describing the boots. Bright is describing the color red, so there would be no comma. And then in the last sentence, I have a new black phone. Do I have a new and black phone? No, I just have a new black phone, therefore no comma is necessary. Rule number 3, you want to use a comma to join compound sentences. So you use this comma before the conjunction in a compound sentence. So for example, I would love to go, comma, but I don't have any money. I would love to go is one complete sentence. I don't have any money is a second complete sentence. I put the comma before the conjunction but to combine those two sentences. However, Denzel went to the grocery store and bought some items for the party. Denzel is doing both of those actions. Therefore, the sentence, part of the sentence that's not complete or is just another phrase, you don't need a comma in that sentence. You just combine them with the conjunction and. So in this case, you wouldn't use a comma. Rule number 4, use a comma before and after phrases and clauses. So you want to use a comma after beginning phrases, clauses, or before ending phrases or clauses. So after the play, boom, that's a phrase beginning the sentence. So I want to use a comma after that phrase, or comma after the beginning clause, because we were still hungry, comma, we stopped at the Taco Bell. Or you want to use this in the case where it's ending, comma before the ending phrase. We went for a jog at 6 just before sunrise is my ending phrase. So I want to put a comma before that phrase. We went for a jog at 6 since school was delayed 2 hours. Since school was delayed 2 hours is my ending clause. I want to put a comma before then. Rule number 5, the direct address. You always want to use a comma after using someone's name, regardless of where the name falls in the sentence. So it could be at the beginning, Karen, comma, eat that sandwich. It could be in the middle, eat the sandwich, Karen, and then you can go outside to play. Or it could be at the end of the sentence, eat that sandwich, comma, Karen. Wherever the direct address of someone's names is used, that's when you put the comma. Rule number 6, introductory elements. You always want to use a comma after certain words, phrases, and clauses that come at the beginning of a sentence. So you have like transition words like first, comma will examine the situation. Next, comma will form a plan, or phrases. Walking down the street, comma, Eduardo dropped his AirPods. Horrible situation. Or clauses. Because we had run out of money, comma, we couldn't buy any snacks at the movie. Rule number 7, emails and letters. You always want to use a comma after both the greeting and the closing. Now, in business letters or emails, we use a colon. So remember that. So you have Dear Jerry, or a comma, or hi, comma, Stacy. Email, yours truly, comma, sincerely, comma. Very easy, standard. And last one, rule number 8, is interrupting material. You always want to use a comma around, i.e., you want to sandwich any elements, words, phrases, or clauses that interrupt the flow of the sentence. So, for example, my brother, the chief, is hardly ever home. If you look at it, it's an interrupting material because the chief is, I'm using the phrase, the words, the chief, just to give you a little bit more information about who my brother is. However, for example, my brother Ken is hardly ever home. In this case, I need the word Ken because I'm trying to identify that I have more than one brother, and that brother's name is Ken. So you have to recognize when and when not you would use the commas. Or with phrases, the cake, comma, vanilla with chocolate icing was gone in a hot minute. I don't need that phrase, vanilla with chocolate icing. It's interrupting the flow of the sentence. Therefore, since it's interrupting, I gotta put a comma around it, or sandwich that interrupting material with 2 commas. And then lastly, clauses. Sergeant Sterling looked at all the evidence, and if he found anything unusual, he didn't tell his superior officers. The flow of the sentence is Sergeant Sterling looked at all the evidence and he didn't tell his superior officers. But because I have this interrupting material, if he found anything unusual, I have to sandwich that or put commas around that. All right, so those are the 8 comma rules that you need to be a grammar master. Make sure that you keep these simple CUP rules in your memory bank and use them for your future writing endeavors. All right, have a great day.